Every 100 years, the Earth recycles its people, and everyone who lived with her vanishes from existence. Every 100 years, the Earth gets new people. For some of us, our grandparents were part of a previous generation. For people born 100 years ago, life was very different. In fact, back then, there were still people living through who had been alive for the Civil War. Each generation, there are these stragglers who live long to report the absurdities of that generational experience to a new cast of characters upon the Earth. Their drama is just beginning. All the old plot lines are emptied out. Many of us living now believe that our drama is the most important one that has ever crested the Earth. Deep down, we really don't even believe there was ever a drama before us. We read about them in history, but that's all we really ever do, observe them like animals behind plate glass at the zoo. Would it surprise you that some of these actors are closer than you realized? That men in ancient Greece left their fingerprints on the same sacred vaults that you now wait upon, hoping for some brush with the divine, if only the well would open. 25 generations of Earth citizens have attempted the experiment between you and this ancient Greek. Every generation hopes to open the vault and reach the promise of civilization, a paradise on Earth. This message is relevant now more than ever. We live in an age of immense power and stand at the dawn of the zenith of intelligence, culminating not just in our invention of AI, but the vast cultural fingerprint of our subconscious imprinted into the digital world. These records will go on long after our experiment has ended, when Earth is again a barren and dusty place, and somewhere else in the universe, there is another generation trying. Our story begins 8 billion years ago. Just kidding, nothing interesting happened back then. There were cells folding atop one another, enough for another organism to walk in and realize they made a nice coat, put it on, and that's when the mitochondria became an addition to the cell. Everything from then on was good. The cell was a factory of enterprise, where friendly materials could pass easily through the outer walls and hostile materials kept out. There was a magnetic sequence based on the formula of water, and everything that agreed to build with water was magnetized to it. And from this first moment, the cell became alive and squirmed with movement. It is wrong to say that the cell is alive, actually, for everything moving in it is simply being twisted and pulled through a machine reading code. But to say that a cell is not alive is like to say a city is not alive or a household is not alive. The sum of all its movements create a memory, and that memory sculpts the traditions that are guarded between the walls of his adobe. As the cell grew larger and became towns and populations, so also the vague impression of memory hovering over the human civilization, encouraging us to take on manners and culture and to act as if we ourselves were the ambassadors of this great life force that had first sparked moment. But just as this culture of life breed existed on the sole beneficence of that code akin to water, there was another code, minted out of hostility. It attracted to it destruction and enjoyed the thrill of riding chaos. It appeared in viruses, storms, plagues, and wars. It spread the germ of conquest. And this too was tolerated in the celestial balance that rested across the material cradle. This organism could never self-sustain, for it cannibalized everything, including itself. And when its destruction had run its course, it would slip back into dormancy to await the fresh seeds of the life breed's bounty. So, it's like this that civilization began. From back then to now, civilization has been chaos's greatest temptation. When I met this beast, I was unsure whether he was a demon or an angel. He was unlike anything earthly I had ever seen. All I knew is he had played an immense role in my life and had lived on the earth a long time. I read stories of him assassinating kings, toppling dynasties, sparking wars that ransacked Earth's greatest treasures. I wanted to know Earth through his eyes. For if a creature could tolerate so much destruction and perform it as if it was their virtue, there must be some wisdom to it I don't have yet. So here truly begins our story. The story that brought the modern world into existence. The beginning of an empire which has silenced the natural world and made all Earth groan under her weight. Who is this beautiful dominatrix to whom we all bow?